Day 151, Circuit Power and Cost. Number 1, bulbs and other electrical appliances are rated in watts. Watts is a metric unit of power. This is how fast devices convert electrical energy into other forms of energy. The equation for this is P equals I squared R. P is the power, and that's going to be in the unit of watts. I is the current. That's in the unit of amps or amperes. R is the resistance in ohms. Number 4, what is the power of a light bulb with 12 amps of current and 0.5 ohms of resistance? So P is equal to I squared R, and that's equal to 12 squared times 0.5. 12 squared is 144, and multiply that by 0.5 or a half, and we get 72 watts. A 60-watt light bulb uses 60 joules of electrical energy every second, and it converts that into light energy, but and also some heat energy. Now, we don't normally have just watts. When we talk about individual appliances and light bulbs and things like that, it would be watts. But things that are bigger have other prefixes along with them. So a kilowatt. Kilo, just like a kilometer, is 1,000 meters. A kilowatt is 1,000 watts. A megawatt is going to be a million watts, and a gigawatt is a billion. So the household use would probably be in kilowatts. Megawatt would be how much energy a small town uses, and a gigawatt would be more like a large city like New York or Los Angeles or an entire state. So let's convert with these prefixes. 900 watts is how many kilowatts? Well, a kilowatt is 1,000. So to convert from watts to kilowatts, we're going to move the decimal point over 3 places because of the 3 zeros in 1,000. 900 is not quite up to 1 kilowatt, so I want to move the decimal point in a way to get less than 1. So I'm going to move it over 3 places, and I'll get 0.09. Whoop, I said that wrong. 0.900 kilowatts. And those zeros are optional. Okay, 60 kilowatts is how many watts? For every kilowatt, I have 1,000 watts. So if I had 2 kilowatts, I'd have 2,000 watts. So I'm moving the decimal point over to the right. So I have my regular 60 there, and then I add my 3 zeros for 1,000s there. 1,500 watts is how many kilowatts? Well, 1,000 watts is 1 kilowatt. So 1,500 is just going to be a little bit more than that. So I move my decimal point over 3 places in order to get just a little bit more than 1. And the answer is going to be 1.5. 5 megawatts is how many watts? Well, 1 megawatt is 1,000,000. So 5 megawatts is going to be 5 million. 14 gigawatts is how many watts? Well, 1 gigawatt is 1 billion, so 14 gigawatts is going to be 14 billion. Electric bills. There have been times where I wanted to know how much it was going to cost me in order to run a space heater for a long period of time. I was raising chickens, and I wanted to know if I could afford to keep their little chicken coop heated up by a space heater, or if I should just go with a high wattage light bulb that gets very warm. And so I use this kind of procedure in order to figure that out. Number 6, the unit of service that the electric company charges you is called a kilowatt hour. It is not kilowatts per hour. We just simply say kilowatt hour. That means kilowatts times hours. It doesn't matter if you run a 2 kilowatt heater for 10 hours or 4 kilowatt heater for 5 hours. They both give you 4 kilowatt hours. This is the number of kilowatts that that the thing is converting times the number of hours. So 2 times 10 gets us the kilowatt hours for this small heater for a long time. Or then we do 4 kilowatts times 5 hours to figure out the unit for the larger space heater. Either way, 2 times 10 or 4 times 5, we get 20 kilowatt hours, kilowatts times hours. Okay, so the equation to figure out the cost is I'm going to put $ is equal to the power times the time. I'm going to put a little t there, and then a little r for the rate that the company charges you. And generally it's about a dime per kilowatt hour. There are some places that are cheaper, some places that are more expensive, but generally around a dime. What does it cost to run a 1,500 watt football stadium bulb for 8 hours if it costs 7 cents per kilowatt hour? Okay, so $ cost. The first thing we're going to figure out is the power, and that's 1,500 watts, but we have to have that in kilowatts. So we're going to put 1.5 kilowatts. The time is 8 hours, and the rate is 7 cents. Now, I can put in 7 here for the cents, just realizing that the $ here just refers to cost and not the actual dollars. Otherwise, I have to put the cent sign there if I really wanted to be specific. Or I could put $0.07 for the cost. That's the equivalent of 7 cents. I'm just going to keep that in mind as to what it really means. Okay, so multiplying this on a calculator, 1.5 times 8 times 7 equals 84. And I have to remember that that is 84 cents. How much would it cost to run a 10 watt bulb for a month if it costs 7 cents per kilowatt hour? Okay, so I got to do some conversions. The 10 watts, I move that decimal point over 3 places, and that will give me the kilowatts. And now I have to figure out the month. The month, let's say we have 31 days in a month. Yes, some of them are 30, some are 31, one of them is 28, 29. We're going to say 31. And for each one of those days, or for that month, we have 24 hours per day. And so we multiply those two together. 31 times 24 equals, that's a grand total of 744 hours. And so we multiply. The cost is the power, 0.01, times the time, 744 hours, times the rate, which is 7. Multiplying that together. 0.01 times 744 times 7 equals 52 cents. Now it's actually 52.08, but we can't have fractions of a penny now, can we? So we round to the nearest penny. Number 10. What does it cost to run a 100 watt light bulb for 24 hours if the cost is 8 cents per kilowatt hour? So the cost is going to be the power in kilowatts, 0.1, times the time, 24 hours, times the rate, which is 8 cents, 0.1 times 24 times 8 is equal to 192 cents, which would be $1.92. Number 11. How much would it cost to run a 60-watt light bulb for a week if it cost 9 cents per kilowatt hour? Try to do this one on your own. Pause the video, try to work it out, and then play it to see if you get it right. The cost is going to be the kilowatts, 0.06, times the time. The time is going to be 7 days times 24 hours each day. 7 times 24 is going to be 168 hours. And then the rate is 9 cents. Multiplying 168 times 0.06 times 9 gets me 90.72 cents, which will round to 91 cents, or we could say $0.91. At this time, please read this article about science helping out society in different ways, and then do these questions, and then you'll have a homework assignment. Answer the homework on Schoology. The classwork problems are just on your paper here. There's no Schoology for this classwork 151.